Yeah, so good day, class, once again. So this is the final week for the class, and then yeah, so today we'll be doing more like looking into more theoretical stuff a bit, and then things you should know about DevOps, and then other like project management skills like Agile. I'm sure some of you have heard about Scrum, Agile, and all this stuff. So we'll be looking briefly into those. You can as well read more. Those things are very basic. Read about DevOps culture and stuff like that. But I've just explained some things you need to know. So again, DevOps is more of the culture things. Like that's why companies are adopting it at a faster rate. The way they used to do software development before DevOps, it's completely different. So DevOps came, and with the introduction of all those tools that most of them we've done in the class, CI/CD, using GitHub, using Git, doing automation and stuff like that. Those are what DevOps brings, and those improve software development lifecycle. Increase the way they build application software and stuff like that. From user perspective, you'll be looking at it like, what's the big deal there? But to companies, to organizations that depends on all these things, their adoption rate is very high. That's why you see so many companies want a DevOps people, even almost more than software engineers that have been existing. So it's more like cultural mindset, and then it's about the main thing that it's centered about is collaboration as well between the development and the operation guys, and that's where the name DevOps comes in. Development again, it's the mostly from the developer where they develop the application itself, write the code, build the code, do the testing and stuff like that. So testing, operation side of it is where you operate, where the applications running, people that do the maintenance of the infrastructure, like the system administrator, make sure that the application is running the way it's supposed to run. Those that do the monitoring, everything, work on the, like the server, maybe the EC2 or whatever in those environments. So those are the operation people. So DevOps talks about bringing them together, ensuring that they kind of work together to ensure more communication, sharing of information, and to make sure that software gets to the end user as quickly as possible. Again, all those software they do, every day they improve it. I'm sure some of you use Instagram, Facebook, just get on your Facebook again, you see new features, that's what they can be working on that for weeks, doing a lot of testing, deployment, everything. So that's how they always doing those. It's not like they just write the code, do everything, then they just put their hand and be watching stuff. They keep working, those software engineers keep working, DevOps people will be assisting them, build pipeline, make things easier for them. And that's why some company, they'll be like, okay, DevOps is about allowing developer to just focus on writing their code alone. They don't want them to bother about how the code is running, how the code is built or stuff like that, So they want a DevOps guy to be able to build those pipeline, those CI/CD for them, so that the only thing developers have to do is just to write their code, push it to GitHub, and that's it. So, and the magic will take place from there. Do the building, trigger them. If there's any problem, automatically it will notify the developer. If maybe the testing the application fail in the process, it will provide the feedback to the developer immediately, maybe through Microsoft Team or maybe Slack channel or personal email or anything. So DevOps encourage that and makes that possible in the real life. So it increased transparency, communication, and collaboration across development and IT operations. So collaboration is a very key word there. It allows especially the development and other party to collaborate, to work together from the development of the application to the production or the deployment stage. So, you see some questions, some interview asking you that, okay, what do you understand by DevOps? What are the culture? And, one of the things I didn't put here is, okay, I think it's in another slide. So, again, DevOps focus on collaboration, communication between team, the development and operation team, especially, to ensure software development is run smoothly and then improve the process. So, so with DevOps, we do the CI/CD, everything is automated. And, we do a lot of automation to talk about all those Terraform, doing Ansible and all those stuff. So those are what DevOps brings and, makes things easier. And automation is another very key concept of DevOps, which is part of DevOps culture. And, most jobs that are looking for DevOps, one of the main things they want is that automation. CI/CD is automation. Again, you can run your code on the computer and just say nvn build, then you build it. Then after you build it, you do nvn on the command line. You can literally do everything without Jenkins. But that takes time. It doesn't encourage collaboration because now you are doing it personally on your own distance. How will other team see it? How would other team contribute to what you are doing? So you can just run everything on your distance and you can do nvn package. It will generate that WAV file for you right on your computer. Even on your Windows computer, you will see the WAV file generated there. Then you can copy it. That's how they used to do it before DevOps. Then you can copy the WAV file, maybe then paste it in where you want to deploy it to, maybe Tomcat or any environment. You do, manual this thing. So all those things is what DevOps remove, like CI/CD, that you don't need to be doing. You don't need to be running Docker builds, to be building this thing and do Docker push to push the Docker image. Then you run Docker. You don't need to do that by building a pipeline. CI/CD pipeline will automate all those processes, and then everything will just trigger step by step, stage by stage, till. And if it fail at any point, it will stop there, and then it will provide a feedback to the team that, okay, this failed. So just understand the concept, nothing to cram here. Know what this thing is all about. Again, these are things you can read more online to get better understanding of the concept of DevOps and the culture and the adaptation and stuff. So the principle of a successful DevOps culture, foster collaboration environment, like I said earlier, impose end-to-end responsibilities in the team. That everybody take responsibility. The developer writing the code, with DevOps, they get feedback immediately if there's error in the code, if there's a problem, or if there's a SonarQube scanning their code, and there's some bug, or maybe some of the syntax they use is not the best one or stuff. It can flag it, then trigger notification, and make everyone know what they have to do. Encourage continuous improvement. That's why you hear about a lot of continuous stuff in DevOps: continuous delivery, continuous deployment, continuous integration, continuous monitoring. So everything is continuous. That's what DevOps encourage. What DevOps culture is all about: continuous improvement. Making sure they improve the process every time. Some things they do manually, they can have a meeting. That's the next point. They automate almost everything. This is very, very key, guys. Like I said, most companies looking for all these things like cloud engineer, they want those automation. And that's why you see all those Terraform is very heavy. Terraform allows to automate infrastructure. Ansible allows to do automation for configuration management, like automate software or whatever. So automate deployment of software, or just want to do installation on 20 AWS server. Ansible will allow you to do that. That's automation. It removes human effort from the equation. So focus on customer name, unite teams, and expertise. So again, collaboration is very key here. Automation, CI/CD, those are concepts of DevOps culture, DevOps practice. You want to automate things, you want to make things go with literally very few human intervention in this thing. So again, automation, which I want to talk briefly about in DevOps, it's the addition of technology that perform tasks with reduced human assistance. Again, reduce human assistance, which produce resistance to processes that facilitate feedback loop between operation and development team, so that iterative updates can be deployed faster to application and production. Automation is the use of technology to perform tasks with reduced human assistance. So again, with all those things, tools we've learned, Jenkins, CI/CD, Ansible, Terraform, those are automation. We are trying to automate things. We can go on AWS and provision stuff on the console by ourselves, do stuff like, okay, you want to create a EC2, you want to create VPC with some subnet, you want to create load balancing, you want to create auto scaling group and all those stuff. You can do that on the distant bay. Trust me, if you've really worked on some AWS distant, like creating auto scaling and some of them, or maybe VPC from the scratch, a lot of things goes in there. Like, for VPC now, you need to create a subnet there. You need to create attack in the subnet. You attach what's it called? Security group. You attach NACU, which is any network access control list. You attach that to the subnet. You do internet gateway. You do NAT gateway. You do a lot of things. You do route table. You configure all those things manually. Trust me, it takes time. It's very prone to error. You may not get it the first time. It's difficult to replicate that in the same way in different environments. It will be a bit difficult because, so they're sitting down, writing the script. Again, writing the script in Terraform, it takes time to write all those one in scripts, like a VPC or whatever, or maybe auto scaling group. To write that in this thing, it takes, some time. But once you can write it, 100%, you can, it will just be somewhere, maybe in your GitHub or whatever, you can do the same thing every time you want to provision similar stuff. Maybe just make similar little changes and stuff like that. Just have to run the script, then everything will be there. And that allows you consistency, reduce human error in the process. So once you can write the script, take the pain to write like the Terraform script to do all this stuff, it's the main job has been almost all the job has been done. So that's what automation is about. Same thing with Ansible. As you can see, we use it to install like Apache. Again, we can go on each of the server and just install the Apache. There's some installation, as you can see from the class we did, like when we are doing the installation for Tomcat or whatever. It takes so much process, so much things to do. So those, and some of you trying to replicate it, getting into errors and stuff like that. Those are what automation remove from our process as a DevOps people. If we can sit down, it might take some time to write a Ansible script to install Tomcat on our server. Once you can write it, you test everything works perfectly okay, you are good to go. You want to do it in 10 different servers, it's just a snap of the finger. You will do it the same way, no error, everything will work perfectly well, once the script is working perfectly. So automation is very, very powerful, very, very strong in DevOps, and make things easier and stuff like that. So benefit of automation again, in DevOps, it removes manual error. Like I said, team members are empowered. because everybody can contribute to that. You know, it's not like now you are creating stuff on the environment, on the EC2. Again, these resources that you see, like AWS account, is something that all of you will be using the same account. It's not like your main will have his own account in the company. Isaac will have, Deji will have his own. No, everybody will use a centralized account of AWS that the company provides. So, you know, collaboration is very key, and making use of tools like all those Terraform allow you to, like, okay, to a different team member to collaborate, contribute to it. Maybe you will just do the security group part of the script. Another team member may write some other things. You know, you can make changes there. You know, all those stuff. You allow collaboration. But assuming you are doing it on the console, you know, there's no collaboration. It's not really possible for two people to be, unless you just do screen sharing and stuff, and you know, people contributing to that. So, but all this scripting, automation allow those things to be possible. So team members are empowered, dependencies are removed, latency removed, increase number of deliveries, reduce the lead time, again, reduce the time it takes for process to be completed once you automate tasks, increase frequency of release, provide feedback, faster feedback, they enable speed and reliability and consistency, which is very important. So in scripting, some of the common scripting tools that you see out there is, you know, again, most jobs you're going to see all these things. They'll be like, okay, the competence in one of the scripting tools, like Python, you know, they will list them, but they only want one of them. Python, Shell, Ruby, JavaScript, I don't know this. I think I've seen a tutorial on that before. It's not that friendly. The center is not that friendly to me. And JavaScript too, you know, Python is very simple, and, you know, I encourage you. Shell too, I'm sure you already know some few shell scripting and stuff like that. Just, yeah, so but, you know, if you can just work on Python, you know, try to learn stuff with Python, you'll be okay. So, again, one of the things I want to talk about in Python is, you know, modules. Python have what they call modules, which is in other language they call it library, just like a library. It's more like a program that's written somewhere, then you make reference to it in your script. So they call them modules and stuff like that. So in Python, so some of the common one, the popular one that I kind of put together that I know I've worked with few of them. This request modules. Paramiko is used to when you want to use Python to SSH. For requests, you probably wouldn't need it much. It's used for like all this HTTP requests and stuff like that. We'll show you how to use this module, especially OS modules. Paramiko, it's for like to SSH into, you want to use this thing to SSH into a server or whatever. OS modules is very powerful, you know, very powerful. You can play around with OS module, do some basic projects with it. I will show you some few ones I've done. So Boto3, you know, this is for AWS resources. You can do a lot of things from Python, create S3 bucket, shut down EC2, do a lot of, you know, advanced things with Boto3. It's very powerful modules in Python, you know, which, you know, I encourage you to check out and see. So JSON as well, you know, it's a JSON way to like use JSON to interact with Python. CSV, which is comma separated value, I think. You know, it's more like Excel kind of stuff that allow you to use a row and column to like separate this thing to interact with that. So I'm just going to, I will show you some of all those things and how they work in this thing, because we're going to just do some some basic this thing with Python so that you see. Again, you know, I encourage you, we can't cover Python in the class. You know, it's a bit, there are so many things to know there, but, you know, I will just show you, especially the main projects that you can talk about that you've done with Python. So this bottle tray, you can use it to do stuff like, okay, go to my AWS account, any EC2 that is T2, no, any EC2 that's M4 large, shut it down. You can do stuff like that with bottle tray, and it will go to your AWS account, go through all the EC2 that you launch. If you have anyone that is M4 large, you can shut it down, just terminate it, by just running the script. So these are very powerful. You can do a lot of things there. You can say, okay, copy stuff to my S3 bucket, create S3 bucket, delete this, do a lot of very, very cool stuff with AWS services, bottle tray. So there's a big documentation on bottle tray, which you can, if you say, if I show you bottle tray docs, you see it's you can use it for so many things, and it's very powerful. You see all those things. If I go to, this is Cloud9, there's a lot of this thing. If I go to EC2, you see EC2, you can use it to, if I go to EC2 instance, using the client. So, first thing you do is, client dot, this is how to call the modules in Python. You do import. I'm sure if you see some Python script, you see this thing, you do import. So import is like you are calling that modules, you want to use that modules in your script. If you don't do this and then you use that modules, it will throw you an error. So these are just some of the method you can use. They call this method in Python. So once you call it modules, you can say bottle tree dot something. For example, you want to allocate address, or you want to associate an address to your EC2. So you can say bottle tree dot this. So automatically it will, if you click on it, it will show you some of the arguments that it accepts. So, again, I'll show you how to use. You see, you can copy image, you can copy a snapshot, you can use all these things to write a powerful script with Python and make use of it. That, okay, copy image, make a snapshot for my EC2 that's running, at 12 midnight every day. Create a snapshot for my EC2. So, to create a snapshot of your EC2, copy the image and do stuff with it. You can do a lot of things with bottle tray. It's very, very powerful with AWS stuff. So this is one of the very important modules that you should look out. So a lot of them have documentation, like the OS modules I talked about. These are some of the documentation. I will show you how to use some of them. You can do a lot of things. Create a directory. Just like we are running make directory in our shell command. You can do that with Python too. It will create a directory. It will do stuff with it. It will do a lot of cool stuff, delay stuff, and then a lot. So we're going to look at some of them, and we see how we can use them so that by the time you start learning your Python, you'll be able to manipulate them, use maybe loop, understand what a looping is, conditional statements, and understand what's it called, the data structure, like what a string is, a string, a string integer, other stuff like a list, which is array, which they call array in other programming language. It's a list, and tuple, and other cool stuff. So but those are very basic, and if you understand them, you'll be able to work with some of all these modules to do some very cool stuff. I was doing some bottle tray projects some other time. I was just getting some problem. So agile methodology. So in software, let's talk briefly. This thing, just know them high level, because most software company, so-called, doesn't have to be software, but the software team, they work in agile. They use the agile methodology. So, which is more like a practice. Like this one says that in software development, agile practice involve discovering requirements and developing solutions through the collaboration effort of self-organizing and cross-functional team and their customer. So it's about, the way they used to develop software before. They call it waterfall principle, which I think I made a slide with that after this. So the waterfall principle, basically what it does is that, okay, they will sit down before they get the requirement. Maybe a client come to the company that, okay, we want to make a software and stuff like that. So they will sit down, do a lot of documentation, write stuff. That can take like 2 weeks. So they will start with that. They will make sure that all the documentation are completed. Then there's a step they have to follow one by one. Maybe the first step will be writing the code. They will make sure they write all the code that's required. All the code that's required from A to Z. Then they will build it after that. Then they will test it. Then they will deploy it. They will just run through the process one by one. One will finish before the other. So that is the old method of doing things. In Agile, it's more, they call it in iteration. They want to work in iteration, whereby they want to be doing it. For example, okay, a client comes to the company that, okay, we want to build a e-commerce application where people can buy stuff and do stuff. What Agile says is that, okay, you get the user story, what they call user story, which define the requirement for the what the user is looking for. So they will define it, break it down in sprints, in sprints, what they call sprints, which is more like small chunks of the main distance. So they will split the whole task in sprints. So each sprint will be a deliverable. For example, the first sprint they may be working with will be maybe to make the user interface. So they will not wait until they write all the code to do the user interface, to do payments, to do maybe to do all this stuff. They will just pick very small parts. They will do it based on like iteration. They call it iteration based on like priorities. Like, okay, which one will be the first one we'll be working with? So it will take them 2 weeks. That's why normally sprints always take 2 weeks in Agile. So Agile methodology, encourage to work in sprints like that. It will take 2 weeks to do a small part of the project and they will deliver it to the customer. So they will run through it in one iteration, which will be one sprint in this case, which mostly will be like 2 weeks. So they will do all the process, build, test, deploy, everything within that 2 weeks, write the code. But the code they'll be writing will not be everything. Will be maybe not just the code, maybe just to design the user interface to show to the customer. So, at least the customer will see something. Then after they're done with that, they'll pick another sprint they want to do. Maybe the next one is payment. They want to put payment where customer can make payment. So they'll start working on payment again, blah, blah, do that within 2 weeks, present it to the customer, take another one, maybe check account balance. So they will do that again, like that. So that's what Agile is all about. It focuses on working in sprints, making chunks, small piece of the work within a specific time, mostly like 2 weeks, and present it and work like that. Unlike in waterfall, which require them to sit down, do everything A to Z before they can. So with Agile now, what it brings to the table is that there's quick feedback. For example, if they work on one sprint and the customer doesn't like it, they get quick feedback on time, and they will be able to make a correction or maybe amend what they did. So it encourages quick feedback, unlike in waterfall, whereby they will make sure they write everything A to Z before they present it to the customer. And sometimes it takes 6 months, according to those that used to do it. It can take 6 months so customer will not see anything within that 6 months. They'll just be waiting so at the end of the day, they may like, okay, we don't like something. So it's difficult. Feedback is not that, it's not quick enough in waterfall compared to Agile. So Agile, most companies adopt Agile methodology, and there are a lot of framework for Agile. The common one that I'm sure some of you have heard is what they call Scrum, which is a methodology in Agile. There are a couple of them that are very popular. So what are the benefits of Agile? Faster software development lifecycle, predictable schedule in sprints. There's always sprints. You do like this thing. I remember the first company I worked, we used to have sprints every 2 weeks. Even within DevOps team, we practice Agile. We have different tasks that we'll be doing. It's not like developing this thing also. So each sprint, we work on it in 2 weeks. Then after 2 weeks, we do what they call sprint review. What goes wrong. Then we do sprint retrospect, and then all those stuff. So most companies adopt all those things. Just understand what Agile is. What working in Agile environment and stuff like that. It's nothing to. It's not like a practice that's very rigid. It's very flexible. Different company kind of practice it in a slightly different way, depending on what suits your case and stuff like that. So, but the main one is, the focus on sprint, doing things in small iterations, in small chunks, small. For example, maybe they want to, as a DevOps, in the DevOps team, they want to make a project to let me say, to migrate things to cloud, completely. That is a big project, takes some company months or even close to a year. So those ones, they can break it into different sprints. Maybe first one, we are migrating certain server. That's where we're going to start with. We're migrating some critical server. The database can still be on premises. Then, they will break it into small chunks. Then they will be picking it one by one and be working on it, sprint by sprint, pick up the first sprint, work on it, and, like that, because those things takes time. And then it's very important to, use method like sprint, like Agile. So again, it's predictable schedule. There's a predictable schedule in sprint. It's customer focus. That's the result is increased with customer satisfaction. So like I said, it's encourage faster feedback. So customer will be able to see the product, even as quickly as 2 weeks. They will see something that you are doing. And if they don't like it, they can make suggestion quickly. So it's not like they have to wait for 4 months before they see everything. So they will be seeing it every 2 weeks, same result, and there's quicker feedback. So it's flexible in accepting changes, like I said, empower team to manage project, promote efficient communication. It's ideal for projects with non-flexible funding. So the Agile framework is an umbrella term, used for several iterative and incremental software development approach. So the framework are the popular one is the Scrum. There's this Crystal. I'm not too familiar with all those ones. There's Kanban too. So again, the popular one is the Scrum, which talks about Scrum has its own method as well, which is followed using like a Scrum Master to do stuff. In some team, they have a Scrum Master. In most team I've worked with, they don't have a Scrum Master. They just, everybody kind of understand what they have to do. And like Yomi asked last week, Jira, this is where you kind of like manage all this Scrum stuff, all this Agile stuff. You create a story, a user story, you create all those sprints, you manage a sprint, you create a sprint on Jira, then, you assign people, because you are working in a team, then they assign different things to you. Just for example, building pipeline alone, they can assign it to like, they can break it down into different tasks. Okay, you will create maybe the Jenkins pipeline, and the Jenkins, you install the Jenkins server, you will do the integration part. They can break it into different tasks that every team member will participate and manage. You will write some of the script or whatever, depending on what you can do as well. So, those things are very important concepts to just understand, nothing to cram, just, you see some video, maybe an hour video about Agile, Scrum, and just understand it. It's very important concept. So, but I think these are some of the basic ones. The waterfall, I said, compared to Agile, you say Agile is more like DevOps. It goes in iteration. There's a backlog. Analyze, define. Keep going like that. Then they will produce stuff. Unlike in waterfall, everything will be completed before the next stage. And it's not like it goes in iteration. It doesn't go in cycle like this. This is completed. They are done with the requirement. Design, they will make sure design is completed before they move to implementation stage. So design can take like 2 months or whatever. So they make sure it's done before they move to this. So customer will just be here waiting for the end products. So, implementation is done before they move to testing and stuff like that. But in case of Agile, it's small jumps they will do. They just pick small parts from the backlog. This is the backlog, which will be like, it will define all the tasks, all the process that need to be done. Maybe the first one, build user interface, the second one, payment. So these are backlogs. So they'll be picking it one by one and deliver it to the customer. Pick this, run through the process, deliver it, pick the next one. So it keep going like that. They don't do it in a serious way. In like, okay, this has to be completed 100% before they move to this thing. So just do small parts, push it out again, do small part, push it out. And again, similar to DevOps, but more DevOps is more like project, the software development itself, not really focusing on the customer. And then it's, when DevOps also encourage, working in sprints like this, doing incremental changes, developer deploying their code every time. And, you run through the pipeline, then, they do another change, run through the stage again, deploy, so those are very important things to just understand, so this thing, interviewer can ask you, this difference between waterfall, Agile, and stuff, because most companies, they use this Agile methodology now, and then that's where you see the Scrum and all those things. So yeah, any questions? I will encourage you to read more, a little bit more about Agile and methodology, and see what Scrum is all about, and then just again, those are not too much stuff. Just it's like reading and just understanding the concept. So you don't really need to cram anything at this point. So any question, guys? We're just going to see what we can do with Python and some of the modules. So there's, if you remember, let me see. So again, Python, for some of you that maybe have not checked Python, we've been writing a lot of code lately, like, like Terraform, scripts like Terraform, Ansible, and stuff like that. Python is a programming language. Those are not programming language. Those are just like a scripting kind of stuff. So, it's so Python basically, when you want to write a Python script, you name the file .py, but at first you have to make sure you install Python on your computer. If you don't install Python on your computer, it will not run. So, you can check install Python installation, installation on Windows or Mac. I have it on my Mac already. So if I, you see just to download, it's very easy to install, nothing. You literally just download it and just that's it. Literally, you just have to download it and just move on. So there's nothing serious there. So, but what I want you to note is, how to like run the code, how to do some basic stuff, which again, I don't want to go too deep into. Python is a bit broad, not that broad, but and again, it's considered the easiest language. A lot of developers will tell you that Python is very easy. So to me too, I'm still learning Python, not like expert. They say it's very easy. It's kind of easy to do, but you have to be a bit creative in writing this thing. So Python, you just want to write it. Let's just say you give it, let's name our file. It's just like creating a file, nothing serious. You can create it directly on your terminal. I don't know if you can see my find me documents now. So you can just create a, let me see. Check again. We'll find out. Okay. So, and my this thing, if I just run Python underscore version or whatever, I think. So it will show you. I have Python 2.1. Wow, I don't know. I thought I have Python 3. Yeah, I think Python 3, it's not the default. I have Python 3, but Python 2 is my default. Yeah.
I want to ask one question. Your item, yeah?
Yeah.
It's just like basically like we are on our command line.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like you're on your
I'm
computer.
always seeing like AWS at Kenneth in front of you.
Okay. No, this is the name. I created a different user for my computer. Different, what they call user. You can do that on your Windows too. For example, this is where this AWS come from at the top. I don't know if you can see the top this thing. So I have like different user because the environment I'm doing this lab is different from my personal environment. So I like I create like different accounts for on my computer on my real So that's the AWS we are saying here. So because this is the place I do all the training, all the lab and the class and all this stuff. I have another one which is more personal, which if I run ls there, you see some of my confidential stuff there. So I kind of like create another account. You can do that on Windows too. If you see how you can create an account. Yes, I'm directly
just on like logging in with another user.
Exactly. Logging in with another user. Exactly. You can create that.
Yeah, I was just confused. I thought maybe you were using like AWS CLI or something.
No. This comes from, this is the name I give it. That's why. Like for example, if you want to give someone your computer, maybe they say, okay, can I use your computer to just do something in the weekend? You can do that, create an account fresh. So they will only see, then they will log into with that account on your computer once they log in. So instead of your normal distance, they won't see any of your information. It will only separate, they will only see a fresh desktop, with their whatever they want to do. So yeah. Yeah, you can. So that's why you see it's just the name I gave it. So if I do ls, you see that these are stuff in my computer directly, not on AWS. I see these are, so I'm on my I'm directly on my command line. So yeah. So if I do Python, so I have Python installed. So that I have to do Python 3 to make sure that Python 3 is because Python 3 is the latest one now. So Python 2 syntax is a little bit different. So if I just do Python, it will show me Python 2 because it's the default. There's a way I can set the Python 3 to be default. I will have to look that up again. I can't remember to do it. So, but for now, we can let that slide. So, to create any this thing, so I can go to create a file, just new file. Then I will give it a name like, okay, my Python, maybe my Python .py. So when you are creating a Python this thing, make sure it ends with .py. Again, this thing directly you can .py. You can do it directly from your So .py. So you can do it directly from your I will just do Control S like this to save it. So it's asking me where I want to save it. So you can create it directly on your terminal, it doesn't matter. So if you create it directly on your terminal, you just have to open it. So just create it anyway. So I think I have, I'm just creating it inside this folder now. So then I can remove this. So I basically just have this, which I created under this part. This user, this is the name of the user. I have this my desktop. Then inside my desktop, I have a folder called Python. So then inside that folder, I have this one that I just created now, which is the main one. I'm writing my stuff. So the main thing again, Python is very simple. One thing you should notice: variable in Python. Understand how to use variable. Again, every language is selected. You need to select the Python interpreter to enable. Okay. So every like language or anything, variable is very key. Variable is very important. Some language like JavaScript, to declare variables, that's why people say Python is very easy. Because other language, to declare variable, you have to tell that language that this is what I'm doing. This is the data type of the variable. For example, in Python, you can say variable is x equals to 5. That's it. So by default, Python knows that this your x, it's an integer. So these are what they call integer in not just in Python, any language. So but you doing this, Python knows it's an integer. In other language, you have to say x equals to int, stuff like this, x, to declare variable. You have to like tell it that this is, I think in JavaScript is something like this. You have to like, oh no, sorry, it's 5. You have to do like this. So like, okay, I'm trying to define an integer. So by default, Python, we know that what you are trying to do. That okay, this is an integer, and that's why then you can say y equals to, when you want to do a string. String is another data type. We have integer. This thing you will learn it. I'm not going to detail. So I'm putting comments there now so that you're not, again, most things, once you see all those this sign, these are comments, and it will not interpret it on the command line. Integers, string. Then you have like a list, which they call array as well. You have tuple, you have dictionary and stuff like that. So these are some of the data type in Python. So each of them have a way to like write them and stuff like that. For example, if I write anything with double colon like this, Python will know that this is string. If I say hello guys, so Python know that this is string, that my y is a string, then my x is integer. So this is integer now. This is integer, and then this is a string. So this is a string. So this is string. So then for lists, I can say z equals to, list is very powerful. You do stuff like this, then you can put a lot of things. It's just like the name, list of bunch of objects. It could be integer, it could be anything, it could be string, it could be, but the syntax is this square brackets. You will know that this is, and again, in most language, list is always like this. Even in YAML, if you're writing this thing, you can use this in YAML to know that this is a string. So this is a list. So this maybe 4, 7, hello. You can have a bunch of stuff within. You just have to separate it. So it's just a list of objects, different stuff. These are string, just separated by this thing. So these are some of the, so this is a list in Python. So this is what the list is. So then you can do a lot of things with them, like, okay, I want to, okay, let me say let me use another word, h equals to 4. In Python directly, you can say h plus print print allow you to see stuff that you are doing on this thing, print command, and it starts with open and close bracket like this. So whatever you want to print will be inside this, so print, then this is the syntax to, again, print is like to show you result of, for example, I want to say 4 plus 5, or I want to say 4 plus 5. So I can use, for me to see the output, I have to use the print statement. So print 4 plus 5, that's what I want to do now. So I can say print 4 plus 5 directly like this with this thing. Then if I run it, run is right on the distance on the top right corner. So if I run it now, it will do whatever. It print the answer for me. That's okay, it's 9. But we have a variable we define already. This is the work of variable. You don't have to add code stuff there. You can say x, h plus x, h plus x. By default, Python know that your h is 4, your x is 5. If we run it again, you see we get the same results. And this is what variable is about. I can now say print, like hello. I want to say print hello. I'll just say print y, because I have my, I want to print hello guys, but I already defined my hello guys to be y. So I just say print y like this. So if I run in now, it prints hello guys for me. So, those are some of the basic things to know in Python. So the other ones are like some of the conditional statements. Again, with this, you can do a lot of things with all these things, guys, a lot. So for example, this y, again, we said it's, this y, it's, what do you call it? Y, it's a string, right? Let us see, what can we do with a string? So to know, you can go to Python documentation and see what stuff you can do with string. So, but, one of the quick way to know that is, let me clear this. One of the quick way to know that, you can just say, maybe you are not sure that what you can do with string, you can say, okay, print this, then dir of y. So basically, we just have this. So we basically just, this is what we want to print. Now, let me write it out here, dir of. So this will basically list all the stuff you can do for you with this thing. So dir of y, this is this y that we are talking about here. So we want to print it, we want to print the output. That's why we put another bracket. So, again, print will also always have this open and close bracket. So anything you want to write in between, it doesn't care. Just make sure that starts with this open bracket, close with it. So that's why sometimes you see in some print statement, you see double bracket or whatever, the double, it's not the main one that concern print, is the one that open here and close at the end. So this is what we are actually interested in. Matter of fact, you can make life easier, like saying, okay, you can assign this to another variable, like, okay, new variable, equals to, this, then right here, instead of you to just put it directly, you can just say new variable, new underscore var, like this. So, if we print this now, it will show you some things we can do with a string, because this is a string again, so if I run this, you see what we're going to get. It's a lot of gibberish, I know, but these are very powerful stuff you can do with a string. Some of them is lower, I will show you how to use some of them. Split, you can split object there. You can replace, you can do find, you can end with. This ends with is very, very powerful. I use it in one of my schools. You can do capitalize, upper, there are a bunch of things you can do. Join, maybe you want to join it with another thing. You see upper, to change it to upper case and stuff like that. So let's just use one of them, upper. So again, we are dealing with our y now. So we want to print, and you see how we write our y is hello guys. It's only one this thing that's upper, there's uppercase there. So I will now say y dot upper here. So these are method. All these things you see here, these are what they call method in this thing. in Python. So these are method. Method allow you to interact with all these like function or even modules too. You use that. So I do y dot upper. So hopefully this should print me. So I already closed the other one I do. If I run this now, so you see, it say hello guys, everything in capital letter. You know, this is what it prints. Let me clear this again so that you see my terminal very well. So if I say hello guys, if I run it again, you see hello guys, everything in capital. So that's the work of this dot upper that I do there. So if I say dot lower now, then I run it again, you know, you say hello guys, everything in lowercase. So you can do a lot of things with all this function, and then you know it's these are what so far it's a string. You know, everything have their own function that they accept. You know, if it's a string, you know, you can do upper, lower, all this stuff. For integer too, it has its own methods, different methods that you can do, and you can check those methods if you are not sure. You can check them using dir. Like, okay, for example, you want to check integer, or this is a list, like that z is a list. So let me say print dir of z. You know, so I'll say print dir of z. Let me comment this out. I don't want it to print this again. So I want to see what I can do with list. So if I run this now, you know, say append, copy, count, you know, I can do a lot of things, index, pop, you know, pop is to remove like one of the distance, reverse. So, you know, these are the things I can do with list, you know, and it doesn't have to be this, any list, anything you see, there's a list in Python. These are some of the things you can do with it. For example, let's use append and let's see how we can use it. So here I will now say, let me comment this again. I don't want to show this. So here I will say, okay, for example, I want to append another word to this my to this z. So I will say print. So z dot append, then it will take an argument. Then what do you want to append? Let's say I want to append 6. So let me run it. I'm not sure if the syntax is right. Oh, it said none. Okay. Let me see how to use this append. Append, print none. Probably I have to do append. No, okay. Okay, I have to, okay, let me do this. Okay, z dot append, then I put the word I want to append there, which is 5. Then let me print z in the next line. So you see now from, let me clear it. So because append it, so let me run it again. So now you see our original z is 247 hello, but now I appended 5 with it on line 11. Like, okay, append 5 to this. So that's why you have this. If I put 2 stuff there, comma 8, if I run it again, you know, it will append. Oh, okay, I can append 2 stuff there. Let me see, let's only take 1 argument, you know, okay, so you can only append 1 at a time. So that's what it's saying, thank you for that. You know, but this is how you play around with things. So, you know, maybe I want to append guys, you know, again, if you are dealing with string, you have to make sure you put double column there or a single quote, double quote or single quote to a string. So if I run this now, so it said, you know, 247 hello, then guys. You know, everything is separated. You know, everything is different objects. So, you know, just, so if I now do z pop, so if I do z pop, it will, you know, different ones again, you know I have to use this because I run this command and it told me, it gave me some of all those things. Again, you can read all this documentation. This is the append I use. You know, I can do copy, I can do count. Maybe I want to count the number of objects there. Let me try this count and see if that will work. So again, I will comment this out. Then I will do z.count like this. Yeah, okay. So I think I will have to print it. So let me print it. Print. Yeah, I'm sure this should be a little bit convincing. Trust me, partners is the ones who get the concept. Count, let me see, takes exactly one argument. Okay. Okay, so let's say count z. Let me put z there. So, count is not defined. I think count. I may have to check the documentation to see the count function. Count dot z. Z dot count dot lower z dot count. It takes count of the lists at this thing. But again, don't really, because the way they use some of all these things are kind of different. You see their pen, we just use it, and we're able to do their pen, even pop to insert as well. Also pop, remove, reverse. You can do a lot of things with list. So this count, I don't know why it doesn't. It says it takes argument, but I don't know the argument is going to take right here. Yeah, I can look into documentation and then I'll see how to use the count. That's not too important. But let me show you some of the things you do with some of all these Python script. Then you'll be like, okay, how does this relate to this thing? So I have that. I have one script. Let me see if I see it. I think I downloaded it now. So okay, I'm going to open it with my VS Code. So basically, this script I wrote it for someone, and again, it's a lot of it's a little bit long. So when you are using modules, like I talk about modules and stuff like that, these are how to use modules. So you import, you call it import. You say import, and then you make reference to it. You see all those dots that we're using here. So basically, what this does is that you may not really understand it. It's a lot. It takes me a few days to come up with this. So what this does is that it log into a Jenkins server. For example, now those are some of the real life Python usage of Python scripting. So for example, now we have a Jenkins server running, just like we have a Jenkins. We have a lot of jobs there. Like I said, in some company, there are 50, like this particular one that I was writing this for, they have more than 80 something pipeline that's on their Jenkins. So now what they want to do is that they want to get all the build duration for each jobs, or build duration for all the jobs on the Jenkins. So, what they can do is that, okay, again, let me show you Jenkins server just to see, to refresh how things look like at this point. I will start this while I continue with my talk. So, so I just want to show you this thing. I'm not Python. But trust me, Python is very. Once you understand the basic concept, you will definitely grasp all the other ones. I think it's 2x. Yeah, so then I will just let me send it to my W. So I will just spin up this Java and this Jenkins so that I show you, what this script is doing. So, and again, these are real life projects that you can even talk about as a scripting stuff that you do. This is done with Python, which I wrote this from literally scratch. So then, yeah, why I start that. So these are how modules work. You import it. So this particular one, you use a module they call Jenkins. I've never worked with that module before. I need to do research. I went online to see how they use it and some of how they call it, how to make use of the modules. So But the first thing you have to do, you have to import that module. You have to use this word. Any modules you want to use. For example, I want to use OS modules. I say import OS. In some Python script, you see a lot of them. They are important. Imports boto tray. For example, if I want to use it, I'm not using those right now. That's why I'm not importing it. But you see some of the one I import, I use it at some point. Like this date time, like this main now. I say from this import main. I use that main at some point. Let me see. If you search through the script, I use the main to find the main of a value. So basically, they write the program somewhere. You just have to call it. You just have to say main of 258. You don't have to write the code. It automatically just. So that's what modules does. It's a predefined program written somewhere. You just make reference to it and then you call it. So again, let me show. I think my Jenkins should be up and running now. So I'm not SSHing into it. I'll just grab the IP address. Let me see. Okay. Let me just open it on the terminal. I just want to show you briefly what this script does. Okay. Matter of fact, I can try it on this. I don't know if this will still work. I wrote it, and it was a lot of back and forth. This one I was talking about. So in this particular case, they have jobs. They have pipeline like this, more than 50, or I think it's something, if I can remember, for this particular stuff I was writing for. So more than 80 pipeline like this. Now, what they want to do is that they want to get the build duration for all the jobs. So they want to see how long it takes to run the pipeline, to run all those pipelines one by one, each of them. So for example, this demo pipeline will tell you that, okay, it takes 20 minutes to build it. This, it takes 12 seconds to build it. This, it takes, big company, it takes minutes to build a lot of them, like some of them 10 minutes, 8 minutes, but a lot of them, and there are so many. And what happened is that why scripting is powerful is that, this one just tells us that last duration is this, meaning that we build this particular pipeline like more than 25 times. So some build may be 10 seconds, some build may be 15 seconds, some may be 20 seconds, some may be 1 minute. Again, they are different. This thing just shows the last one. So what these people want to do is that they want to find out the average of all the builds, all these 25 builds. If I click on it now, you see that some they have different build duration. That's just one pipeline. To tell you how, you see, these are all the build that was performed. Some are failed and stuff like that. But they have different time it takes for them to build. It said took 7.1 seconds for this, took 7.9. So, for them to now find it now, to now get everything, they need to find the average of all the build for this, get the one for this for this. Trust me, it's something, if you are doing it manually, it will take you like a whole day to especially having like 80 something pipeline right here. And each of the pipeline, they have different build duration, so you have to get each of them, calculate the average, do everything. This is what I use this Python script to do. So basically, this Python script will log into my Jenkins server. I provide it with my Jenkins information, username, password, URL. Then it will, again, this will be a little bit this thing for you, but some of these things I got it from using the method of this thing I created. So, one of them is, just like all those dots we've been using. So this server is what I call a server, then dots, get all jobs. First of all, I was getting all the jobs that's running on the Jenkins. Then I was looping. This is what they call looping, because here you need to loop. Looping is like you are trying to iterate over list of objects one by one. Do this, then this, then this, then this. So that's looping. Because now you have different objects, you have to loop through each of them, find the information, loop through. And that's why I was using the for loop here. I was looping through them, doing getting the names of the server. Then here I was just converting it to a list. Then here this is how to create is in the CSV, because what they want to do is that, okay, they want to get all the information, then they want to print it out. They want Python to print this result out in like a Excel spreadsheet, to tell you how crazy this is. This took me a lot of days to relate, because as soon as I write it, I will get another requirement, that, okay, they want it to do this again. This is, it doesn't do this. So I keep improving and writing stuff there. So basically this area will create that CSV, which is like Excel, to create that CSV, then it will give it a title, then here it will do all the calculation for the build. Again, I'm using for loop here. It's a little bit complicated, which, you may not really understand it. Just understand the power of automation, power of scripting. This is done with Jenkins. And if I run this code, it should, I don't know the status now, but I have to do some stuff before it can work. But if I run the code, it will literally generate a report that has all the information of my Jenkins pipeline. It will authenticate to my Jenkins pipeline. It will run through the job. It will get all the duration of each build. I trade through them with which is looping, then get all the result, then print it out, generate a report in like a spreadsheet, then it will give it like a row, column, very, very nice format. So I'm sure it will not run. If I run it, I can try it. So it will do everything A to Z, then, it will bring the report. Then you can present the results to maybe your boss or this thing. Then, anybody can run it anywhere. They just only have to change. What they have to change is the URL. They just have to change the URL for the Jenkins, the username, password. That's it. Everything it will run. It will generate that report. It will, go through everything one by one. So those are the power of, of all this Python scripting and stuff like that. Again, if you are doing this manually in a distant environment, it's literally not. It will take you days to even complete it. With very prone to error, because you have to do so many calculations. I did all those calculations here with all these things. Finding the average. Here I was. If you see expert, they will say the code is not clean and all that. This is the best I can do. I'm not an expert, but it worked. And then, I was just using print statements here to print stuff on the terminal. Then this is the CVS. Yeah, then, again, you may not really, even me too, I will have to sit down to really understand, even though I write everything, I can still understand those stuff, but sometimes I wonder, like, how did I even come about these things? But, it's a small process, different thing, using logic, thinking that, okay, if the build status is successful, do this, other stuff. So, yeah, some took me like a day to figure it out, like, okay, this is what I have to do here, because there's no way to copy all this thing online, literally. I didn't even see anything similar to this. So, just being creative. If you know the basic of Python, know how to use while loop, understanding list, that's the combination of everything you are saying there. Those basic, you see the append, the one that I do the other time, length, if you want to find the length of the stuff. So those are very basic. You can look up for, okay, how do you use CSV to like this thing? So this is the sentence. I literally copy this line. Then I was able to manipulate all this thing. So the result it will generate, it will have a column with a job name, average duration, total build, successful build. Then it will put all the stuff under them like this. So this is like the header for my report. Then it will put all the value inside them one by one. But those are some of the things you do with all this automation. And some people very good with all this Python, they write more complicated stuff. But I'm not at that level yet. And then, just understand, and when you are learning, the main thing, if you understand the basic, like, okay, how to use string, how to do things, how to do other things, how to work with all these modules, and again, at every point I was doing stuff like, okay, print, this how I was able to navigate through my distance dir of server, because I want to know what I can do with server. So basically, if I print this, it will give me a bunch of stuff like before that, okay, you can get, it will tell you that you can get like it will tell you that you can get all these things, like get all jobs, tell me a lot of things I can do within that environment. So, and with that, I keep, just manipulating stuff, making changes, updating stuff. But, again, these things are very powerful. And then, so for OS modules now, let me say I want to use that OS modules, which is very cool modules to use. So I'll do import OS. So, with OS modules, you can do things, you can interact directly on your computer with your computer operating system. Maybe you are running the code on a Python, Linux, or anything. So some of the things you can do, again, I think I have the documentation here. This is the OS modules from Python page directly. You can do os.make directory, like here, just telling you that you have to specify the paths and stuff like that. So you can, yeah.
Kenneth, so what you're saying is that when you say what did you call it again? What's that command you call it again? Go back to your Terraform. I mean,
Oh,
to your
okay, this.
yeah. So when you say import, like import Jenkins, that means you can do anything on Jenkins from your
No, and no, not that. What happened is that this particular one in this thing, they call them modules. It doesn't have to. It doesn't. People that write that particular one, they don't have anything to do with Jenkins themselves. Maybe just one third party that owns that modules. You understand? So they'll give it a name, different name. Some. I work with like that AWS one is like Boto3. Boto3 like this. So just have to know the Boto. So the name doesn't have to be, the same distance. This is Boto3 now, and it doesn't say import AWS. You understand?
okay.
So they have a name. I have to like Google the library, the modules I can use for Jenkins. So I found out that okay, some it may be like import maybe Jenkins. Jenkins 6 or whatever. It could be any name that it doesn't have to be Jenkins. That means if you say import Terraform, you can it doesn't work that way. So you have to know the one you are working with, based on the requirements based on the requirement. I remember I was working with database MySQL in one of my projects and my job. I use these modules they call I think is MySQL. Can't remember the name of I think MySQL, maybe this or the other one, I don't know. So that's the name of the modules that I use. So, but you need to look up the name of the modules you want to use for. For example, when this guy gave me this particular one, I had to like, okay, because I've never worked with a Python talking to Jenkins before. So I had to look up the modules to use. Then I get the syntax, especially this line. I get the name of the modules that, okay, it's Jenkins. Then from the documentation, I get the syntax to how to like do the stuff. So again, this is a variable you can give any name. That okay, maybe my Jenkins. So, but this is the one you start calling at every point. So you now say server dots. So under this, it will have a lot of dots, which they call method. Dots get job, dots get build, dots do this, dots. That's how they interact with modules. Dots do this, dots do. Once you can declare it like that, everything will just be done. Look at this CSV too, CSV dot writer. So that's how to like open it. So it will go through that process like that. And once you can manipulate it, look at this again. I say server dot get underscore. This thing I didn't make up by myself. It was when I do the dir, I find out that you can get the job info using this method. So I just dot it with my stuff. That okay, dot this, then it will let you know the kind of stuff you can provide there. So then you start doing a lot of cool stuff. So here I say get build information. These are building in these modules, in these Jenkins modules directly. All these gets you are saying. So that's how those things work. But the name doesn't really, doesn't have to be this thing. Could be anything.
Okay.
Yeah, but for this thing now, if I say okay, OS modules now, if I want to use it at any point, I will say OS dot something, OS dot parts. It's even giving me a suggestion because you see you can do OS dot change directory, change mode. There's a lot of method you can do with it. I won't really recommend using this because it will not really allow you to learn stuff. But there's one they call OS dot parts, which basically tell you, I think the current, okay, I think there's one, it's get working directory. If I check the distance, I will show you other way. You can get it from the documentation, get current working directory. If I run this now and I say os.get cwd, get cwd, then like this. So of course you have to print it. So I'll say print, then I'm printing this. Then of course print, you have to go with open and close parentheses. So if I run this now, it will show me my current working directory. So it's telling me that I'm in user/AWS, which is where I literally create this, where this particular stuff is running. But yeah, where the Python is running, I think, where the Python is running, that's where it showed me. So current working directory, not where my code is. I think where Python is running. If you say represent the current working directory, okay. So current working directory, that's what I'm doing. So if I want to list what I have in my current working directory too, you can say list directory, then you can say os.list dir, then you provide where you want to, what you want to list. Maybe, okay, if I use this now, let me just copy this and just say, okay, run this and let's see what we're going to get. So of course you have to print it also to see a result, you have to print. So another way you can make it easier is just give it a name. I can say list directory and assign it to a variable, so like this. So when you are printing, you just have to print list this thing. You don't have to print the whole thing and make it not looking good, So here I'm just printing my current working directory. So these are what I have in my current working directory according to this thing. So I'm definitely in the home directory right now. So yeah, I'm currently in the home directory, and that's why you see, if I don't do this import, let's say I don't do this import, you see, it will tell you that it can't find the OS directory. So it will throw you an error, you see. It said name OS is not defined. So, that's why, once you have to use all those stuff, you have to use that distance. So this print my current working directory, and you can do a lot of stuff. You can create a file right here. You can change to another directory. You can, maybe, for example, I want to list this directory now. Now, okay, users/AWS/desktop. I can do this desktop. If I run this now, it will literally show me all the content of my desktop. Let me see. Say line 4, no such file or directory as users, AWS, desktop. I think I need to put a slash here. Let me run it again. Yeah, so these are my current working directory. As you can see, these are the content of my desktop. You see printing on this, these are my desktop stuff. So because I provide the parts here. So you can just work on all those things, and again, this is a list. So you can now start using this thing to like, okay, maybe you want to extract a particular stuff there. Maybe you want to do stuff, this is how you interact with all those things. The output is giving you is a list. So now it's a list. You know that this guy is a list. This is a list. So you can interact with it like you are interacting with list. You can loop through it like, okay, for X in list, print S, you can do stuff like this, then it will literally print it for you as a, if I do stuff like this, it prints it for me one by one, because this is what they call loop in Python, then I can go further and do a lot of things like, okay, I want to, maybe I want to remove certain things from this. I want to add another thing. I want to, a lot of things you can do with list based on the requirement. Then, you keep doing all those things, interacting with them one by one. Then at any point you are confused, like, okay, what can I do with OS? You can just say, okay, print OS, and again, Python follow, what's it called? Indentation very well. You see here, I say for X in this, this is the syntax to declare a loop in Python. So print X. So here can be any variable, it doesn't matter. It can be anything literally. So, that's the anything you are printing it. So this can be anything, it will still work 100%. So this is a syntax for Python. You put this column here, that means that everything you are doing in the for loop is inside this. This print statement is inside the for loop. So the for loop is just to loop through the list, because this guy is a list here. It will go through them one by one, print it, go through the second one, print it, go through the third one, print it, like that. So that's what looping is. It's very powerful. You're going to be using it a lot in this thing. So if I do this thing, it will still print the same thing. Then there, and it will run from up to down, up, down. That's why it's running. You see this list I print here, it's printing the last one. These are all the name of this thing. I can say print, my file name is, my content is, this is my content, or this is a content in my desktop. I can put a word like this, desktop, but this one I'm putting right here, it's, okay, sorry, I use a double column, then I end it. So basically, why I put this in a double quote is that this is a list I'm putting directly here, whereas this is something I define already. This is a variable I already defined. But this other one, I put in a quote in the distance. So if I run this now, you see it will literally print one by one. This is the content in my desktop, then you put the name. Matter of fact, let me put this thing right here to make it cool to read. So, again, Python is very cool. You say one by one, this is what a loop will do. We go through them one by one, read through the first one. This is the content in my desktop, one by one, like that, because this is the loop. That's why it's doing it like this, printing it line by line, because of this for loop I'm using here. You can do a lot of all those things. And the same thing I was doing in all these places, using the for loop to go through all the jobs running on Jenkins, to analyze them one by one. Then when you are done with one job, move to the next one. That's what loop will do for you. So yeah, it's very powerful, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. Again, Python is a little bit this thing for this class. I encourage, there are a lot of nice videos. They look into all those modules, especially how to use them, how to work with them, how to play around with them, how to do some project. Like I think there was a time I wrote a script also with Python to like arrange all my files in my computer. I use this OS modules. I can do that too, but it will take some time to figure it out. So to arrange all my files on my computer, like for example, any file I have that ends with .png, put it in a separate folder. Anyone I have that ends with .jpeg, put it in another folder. Anyone I have that ends with YAML, put it in a separate folder. So, I can do that and I will run the script, then it will do everything, copy all this thing, move everything to the folder they belong, do a very cool stuff. And those are some of the automation things, what automation is all about. Instead of me going to my desktop and like, okay, all this thing, all this, JPEG, CSV, I will select CSV like this, then I will move it to a folder, then I will select another PDF file, move it to a folder. No, with this thing, I can do that. With a script, I can do that and just run the script. Everything will run in the snap of a finger. So, let me do something. If, as you can see, each of these things, they are literally string, I think. So I can say if, let me see what I can do. If anything, dot, and let me say this, this modules again. I want to do something like, okay, if any of the file ends with PNG, write this. If it ends with this, write this. If it ends with YAML, this is what you write. Instead of writing the same thing like this, so I can do stuff like that. Then I'll put like if condition at this point that if anything, let me see if this will work. Then dot, I think it ends with. Okay. So if I do ends with YAML, I will have to put it in a quote, YAML. So I'll just show you some cool stuff. Then if anything ends with YAML, print this is a YAML. This is a YAML file. You can do all those stuff. And then S. Then I can say S. Then just print this. Let me use tab. So S, just print this. So let me run this and then let's see if this will work. I don't know, I'm not too sure. The throw error. So I think it works. So you see, it's where we have a YAML file, it just writes this is a YAML file. So it doesn't print the word directly because I didn't put it where, that's why this is a YAML file. Then I should print that file actually. So I will do like this. Then I will do anything here. Yeah, I will do anything. I'll call anything there. I want to call the variable. I want it to print anything. Okay, I'm supposed to put a comma here. Then, okay, anything doesn't have a J. So if I run this now, so now it says that this is a YAML file. It gives me the one that's a YAML file. So I can basically do a lot of stuff here. Now I only have 2 YAML files. So that's why you see this. It said this is a YAML file. It gives me the list of the one with YAML file. But the other one, that's why I just put S, S for the other one. I mean, I can go ahead and put another if statement that if it ends with PNG, write this is a PNG file or, this is a picture. I can do that too with another if statement. So I cannot say elif is another this thing, elif, anything ends with, again, anything is a string and this ends with is a method in the string, ends with, let me see, dot PNG, then I want it to do something. I want it to print. I'll just copy this. I don't want to waste too much time. Then this is a picture. This is a picture file. Then it will print anything. Then let's see. how this will run. So so you see all those PNG now. He has a new word for them. This is a picture file. So then he give the name. Then you can just do a lot of cool stuff with it. Small. You say the stuff is getting, and everything is within for loop, because you want to go through them one by one. You go through the first one. You will check that does it ends with YAML? Nope. So it will go through the second one. Does it end with YAML? Nope. It will go through like that until you find the one that ends with .yaml. So then if you see that one, then it will print this. Then it will, same thing it will do with the PNG. Does it end with PNG? Does it do this? And these are some of the cool stuff you can do with scripting. And again, it's these are very kind of basic. By the time you learn more about all those things, but what happens is a lot of people learn all those things. They don't know the application, how to apply it, how to use it to do some basic stuff. They don't just teach you, okay, this is a string, this is a list, this is a tuple, this how to use if, for, loop, all the stuff. So there, there are so many cool things you can do, a lot that, even me too, I'm still kind of, yeah, but you can look up online too. Once you know what you are doing, you can easily look up online stuff that, okay, how do you, what you want to do at this point? Maybe I want to put all the picture in a separate folder. I can do that. I can improve this, add another stuff there. Instead of printing it, I can say, okay, everything that ends with dot picture, move it to a separate folder. Everything that ends with YAML, move it to, and everything that ends with PY, delete it. It's very cool. I think this is how I can just summarize, Python, because if I want to teach it from the scratch, it's a little bit, but I recommend those videos, maybe YouTube or this thing. Just again, don't stress too much about it. Actually, not everyone kind of like all those things there. Yeah, but just especially those modules, understand it very well, and now you can do a lot of things with it. Then, I remember my first, I think my first interview, the interviewer asked me if I know Python. I said yes, running my mouth as usual. As usual. He asked me that, okay, can you list some of the modules that you've worked with Python? I couldn't list anything, nothing. I know that was gone already. Well, if you say you know Python, that means, it should be, as well as some of like this Boto tree. This is directly the, again, we didn't use this Boto tree, so it's just there. So if we are going to use it, we do stuff like Boto tree dots, maybe client. Client is another, like that. You have to dot it with something. To know what you dot it with, you can go on documentation to check that, or maybe just use the cheat method dir of OS. If you print this, it will give you all those options. Yeah, any question, guys, with our Python 001 class, 001. No question. So, yeah, again,
Yeah, I mean, I think I have 4 hours YouTube video on Python, so I think I'll
yeah.
send it to the group.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll probably be familiar with that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
something code cap or something.
Yeah. That's a very good video. Yeah. It's a very good video. Sometimes you may not really want to worry about is like function, how to use function, classes and all those stuff. It's a bit advanced, like this code I wrote for that Jenkins, I didn't use any function. Function to me is still a bit confusing to me too. Not that hardware. Sometimes, just allow you to arrange your code better and then make it cleaner. Then, all those videos are very good. Understand, how to use list, how to use variable. Variable just like this is a variable. This equals to this. That's it. Then you make use of it at any point. But what I do is that the output of this is a list. So then what can I do with list? I can look through a list. If it's a string, we probably have to do something else with the string. But I know that the output of this is a list. So it makes life easier for me because I can.
Why is your this thing breaking?
Oh, hello?
Yeah, you were
Test.
breaking.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Again, I'm just saying you should just check out those videos and just practice on basic thing, print on this thing, and some of them may not really teach much about different modules because there are a lot of modules and they are teaching Python, just generic Python for everyone, not really focusing on automation or DevOps or whatever. So that's why they will not definitely talk about how to use both the 3 OS modules, but they talk about, okay, how to use print statement, how to use if, for loop, which are, the building block for Python. So once you know those things, the rest to work with modules is just working with any other this thing. Again, this one I know that it's a list. The syntax is in the data type is a list. That's why I can loop through it. I can do things with it. Then I know that each of what is printing is a string. So in string you can use a function called ends with. So, that's why I dot this with ends with, I see what it prints for me at first. I know that this is a list. Then I can play around with it. I know the thing I can do with a list. I know the thing I can do with a string and, other stuff. So it's, Python, it's considered a very simple language. If you are very confident in that, you can talk about some of those things. It will definitely help a bit.